ABC 6 News 11 at 11 starts right now.
Now at 11, tornado tour. We'll take a look at some of the damage left behind by two midweek tornadoes as Jeff explains the science behind those twisters. Plus,
no way in the world they could ever convict this woman of anything. She's totally factually innocent.
Deadlocked in Dedham. 4 days later, the jury's still out in the Karen Read case. So what's next as the judge tells jurors to get back to work? And Fenway and family. We'll catch up with Warwick's Michael King as he comes home to pitch at Fenway Park for the Padres. We'll get to those stories shortly, but first tonight at 11, a huge Supreme Court decision announced today, and the wheels were set in motion right here in Rhode Island. Thanks for joining us. I'm John DeLuca. The 6-3 ruling overturns what's known as the Chevron precedent, significantly weakening the power of federal agencies to approve regulations. Now, the Rhode Island case involved two fishing boats that were required to hire federal government monitors and then pay those monitors. The companies that own those boats had no issue with the monitors keeping an eye on how they were fishing, but they did have an issue with having to pay for it. A court in Providence applied the 80s era Chevron principle, a Supreme Court decision requiring courts to give deference to federal agencies when creating regulations based on an ambiguous law.
The statute said you could do this in Alaska and you could do this in for foreign fishing, but it didn't say you could do that in Rhode Island. And Congress was pretty specific. So we thought it was absolutely clear that the statute didn't allow this. And the government brought up Chevron. Well, once they brought up Chevron, we were off to the races.
The Supreme Court combined another similar case in New Jersey with this Rhode Island case before making its ruling today. The attorney who you just heard from, who's representing the Rhode Island fishermen, says the case will now head back to Providence, where the judge will decide if charging for the monitors is still legal if you don't consider Chevron. The court's 3 liberal justices voted against it. Massachusetts Senator Ed Markey posted to social media saying, in part, the activist far-right justices have once again abandoned the Supreme Court's bedrock commitment to precedent, overturning long-settled law just like they did 2 years ago with Roe v. Wade. Senator Markey says he plans to introduce legislation that would restore the policy-making freedom government agencies enjoyed under Chevron. New tonight on ABC 6 News 11 at 11, it will be at least a few more days until Karen Read learns her legal fate. This is video posted to our Now Local News app of Read leaving the courthouse today. This morning, jurors told the judge they were deadlocked, but she ordered them back to the jury room to keep working. ABC 6 News reporter Josh Kerman spent the day in Dedham and polled the big crowd outside on whether they're getting a little antsy after 4 days of deliberations.
Day 4 of deliberation ends without a verdict as the jury pushes this case into July. The jury first returned back to the judge saying that they were deadlocked this afternoon before they were told to go back and continue deliberating. And for the hundreds of people lined up in support outside of the courthouse, it's not the answer many of them wanted. Shirts, signs, horns, and chants are all common sights outside of Norfolk Superior Court as hundreds of people await a ruling in the Karen Read trial. Read facing murder and manslaughter charges in the death of her boyfriend, John O'Keefe.
I think a lot of people are very, very cheated. They want a winner and a loser. They don't want a tie. I just think it reminds me of the OJ trial, where everybody's into this thing big time, and I haven't got the bug yet.
As the trial continues, the energy around it continues to build. Her supporters were past ready for a verdict, but we'll have to wait.
I'm expecting today's going to be the day, to be honest with you. I just think there's just... The only problem is the way Auntie Bev's running the courtroom, we're never going to get. We'll probably be here till December.
A small group of people hoping for a guilty verdict gathered down the street from the courthouse.
I'm not afraid of them. I will be the voice for everyone who is voiceless. I am not afraid of them. She's not afraid of them. We're not afraid of them. We're here today because we will not be intimidated. We will not be silenced. We stand in solidarity with the O'Keefe family, with the McCabe family, the Albert family, and the Roberts families who have all been victims of Karen Read.
With no verdict today, the case continues into a 5th day of deliberation, a shock to some of Read's supporters.
I don't know how people can't see the setup that this is all it's been corrupt. It could happen to anybody, and it's sad that this is what this has come to.
While others expected a drawn-out process.
I think that originally our hope was it was going to happen really quick. But again, I think that we have to remember that these jurors haven't been able to talk to one another for 8-9 weeks. So I think it's was actually, in hindsight, unrealistic to think that in 5 minutes they were going to make a decision.
It is said from the start that she is not guilty, her defense arguing she's the victim of a cover-up. Friday's deliberation nearly ended in a hung jury, as jurors told the judge they were deadlocked, but the judge commended their work and asked them to continue their deliberation. Following the announcement that the jurors would be going home this afternoon, most of the supporters left pretty quickly, but they are sure to be back on Monday when deliberation continues. In Dedham, Josh Kerman, ABC 6 News.
All right, now to our weather. After surveying damage in Rehoboth this morning, the National Weather Service has confirmed a second tornado impacted our area on Wednesday night. This is drone video shared with us by Henry's Weather Channel, giving you a great view of the damage done on Wednesday. The NWS saying the tornado touched down in a wooded area near Stieber Way. Now, National Weather Service observers were also out in Seekonk today, where they confirmed a microburst caused storm damage there as well. This is video taken on Cole Street early yesterday morning. That microburst took down a lot of trees and caused damage to the roof of the high school. Winds reaching up to 100 miles per hour there. And this is new video tonight at 11 showing the damage from the first tornado in Lincoln. Trees landing on houses and cars near Breakneck Hill Road. The NWS saying that tornado started in Lincoln and then went through Cumberland and North Attleboro. Wind strength there also reached 100 miles an hour. All right, let's bring in Storm Tracker Chief Meteorologist Jeff Benson live in the Weather Center. Certainly a lot for the NWS to sort through here, Jeff.
It definitely was, John. And by the way, we're tracking the possibility that we can have more storms, perhaps even of this magnitude, over the course of the weekend as we start to wind things down on Sunday. But let's kind of comb through this again. So yes, the Lincoln one, that was fairly obvious from the get-go. That was likely going to be confirmed, and it was. But there were things that, kind of left questions unanswered. What's going on with these other two signatures that we had on radar that did look very tornadic? So the Rehoboth one did have some pretty clear-cut evidence. We had lofted debris, lofted trees, sheared off trees that was indicative of tornado damage. That was confirmed earlier today to be a weak EF1 tornado. But the Seekonk, that one was not as cut and dry. You did have some straight line wind damage. And by the way, for those of us that ask, you can get stronger winds with a microburst than you do with certain weak tornadoes. So it's not, always that the tornado is going to be, even though you get the twisting motion, it's not always going to be a worst case scenario. Microbursts can be worse. But the Seekonk situation, again, there is some, uncertainty in some forecasters' eyes because there was a radar signature that indicated tornadic activity, and there were even some pictures of debris that may have indicated some sort of path there, but I guess just not conclusive enough evidence in the eyes of the National Weather Service. Here again is that very quick tornado that only traveled about half a mile. It produced winds of 90 miles per hour, and there was the tornado debris signature that we got on our correlation coefficient debris tracker. It spun up a debris bowl with all those trees getting lofted up. As we take a look at your headlines real quick here, many more clouds coming in tomorrow, showers and then thunderstorms on Sunday. We will be tracking that threat for you coming up. John.
All right, we'll see in just a bit. Thank you, Jeff. FEMA is now out with guidance for residents of Bristol County, Massachusetts, who have applied for help after storms back in September. Spokesperson for the agency says if that's you, you should update your insurance information, or at least make sure it has current housing situation and payment preference. If there is any problem with the application, that could delay financial assistance. July 15th, by the way, is the deadline to apply. We have more information on our website for you about this on abc6.com. You can find it under local news and then click Attleboro. Caught on camera, employees at a business in Jacksonville, Florida captured this video of a truck being flipped over. Look at that. My goodness, that was this afternoon. A tornado was confirmed in that area shortly after. Amazingly, though, no one was hurt in this crash. A driver in Utah got a surprise of a different kind, hit by a cascade of flash flooding. This is in Utah. Happened yesterday. Local police department there reported multiple streets were impassable. Now to some other local stories we're following for you on this Friday evening. Migrants will no longer be allowed to sleep at Logan Airport in Boston. Governor Healy made that announcement today and said the new rule will be enforced starting July 9th. It comes as the state opens up a large migrant shelter in Norfolk. And the Governor Healy, sends emissaries to the southern border to deliver the message that Massachusetts is now out of shelter space. Families currently sleeping at Logan will be offered transfers to those state shelters. Two men arrested in a 2008 Taunton murder case were held without bail today. 38-year-old Stephen Fordham and 36-year-old Kaylin Scott are charged with killing the two men you see here in these photos, Sean and Kevin Vargas. They were shot and killed in a Somerset Avenue apartment in February 2008, right in front of Kevin Vargas's two young sons. Construction crews breaking ground on a new affordable housing development on Federal Hill this morning. It'll be called The Avenue and includes 85 units. Nonprofit One Neighborhood Builders is the developer. Speaker Shekarchi, who spent a significant amount of time on the housing issue in this year's legislative session, held this project up as an example of what can be done.
And I'm happy to come to these groundbreakings because we're getting more and more of them. Whether it's Central Falls, whether it's Pawtucket, whether it's Warwick, or whether it's here on Federal Hill in Providence, because we need them. And it doesn't just happen unless we all work together. This project behind me is exactly what we need.
More than $20 million in federal funding will be going towards this project. A restoration and renovation is now underway at the Zeiterion Theater in New Bedford. Mayor Mitchell and other local officials are on hand for a groundbreaking there as well. The Zeiterion Theater was built in 1923 and hasn't been renovated since 1983. Improvements include new seating and restrooms, an expanded lobby, and a speakeasy lounge. The theater's historic features, they say, will all be maintained. The renovations are estimated to take 14 to 18 months. Still to come tonight on ABC 6 News at 11, Jeff is back with the full weekend forecast that does include a storm to keep an eye on. Plus, we'll hear from Warwick's Michael King as he returns to Fenway Park and ask another old friend what Kings meant to the Padres this season. You're watching ABC 6, Southern New England's trusted news source.